Partisan divisions intensify on Capitol Hill as Democrats continue their impeachment inquiry against President Donald Trump. Republicans took action today, as you saw earlier, disrupting a closed-door deposition, bringing the session to a halt. Joining me now from Capitol Hill is Congressman Jody Hice, Republican from Georgia. He's also a member of the House Committee on Oversight and Reform. Congressman, welcome into the broadcast. Why was it so important for you to support your fellow Republicans, those who did disrupt the meeting today?
You know, this is an absolutely unprecedented process that we're watching in a so-called impeachment inquiry that, number one, has never even been voted on. You cannot have an impeachment inquiry without there first being a vote on the House floor to do so, which the Democrats have not even done. And so we are having kind of just an absolute false impeachment inquiry to begin with. But you add on top of the fact that this inquiry is behind the shroud of secrecy. There is no transparency whatsoever. Members of Congress are not allowed to be in there unless you're a part of one or two select committees. Even members of Congress are not able to go read transcripts about this. And this is all unclassified information to begin with, and yet members of Congress are being left out. In addition to that, the entire American citizenry is being left out. And this is an impeachment inquiry on the President of the United States, and no one is being allowed to witness what's going on. And so several of my fellow colleagues today basically said enough is enough. We have a right to know what's going on. This is regarding doing away with the election results of 2016, and the American people elected the president, and we have a right to know what's going on in this impeachment inquiry that is one-sided and is absolutely wrong in every way.
I mentioned that you're a member of the Oversight and Reform Committee, one of those committees involved in the probe. What has been your access to the transcripts been like? Have you been able to see some of this information?
Yeah, being a part of the committee, I have been able to see the transcripts. But even just yesterday, we've been informed that even those of us who are on the committees of jurisdiction are now going to face even tighter restrictions ourselves. For example, we, even when we want to go look at the transcripts, have to make an appointment to do so. When we have permission and jump through the hoops in order to see the transcripts, we will be required to have a Democratic staff member looking over our shoulder while we are looking over the transcripts ourselves. Again, this is unprecedented. What are they afraid of? What are they trying to hide? What is it that they are trying to keep from the American people? And what it is that they are hiding is the fact that there is nothing impeachable in this whole ordeal. They are simply trying behind the cloud of secrecy to keep the truth away from the American people and to keep the truth away from members of Congress so that they can then leak certain things that they want to leak and try to create a public court, if you will, against the president that will harm him in the upcoming election.
Well, how do you respond to those Democrats who argue that any of this secrecy is to protect the integrity of the investigation?
Well, it's absolutely false because the integrity of the investigation in itself has lost all credibility. It's being led by an individual, Adam Schiff, who repeatedly has lied to the American people, beginning back in the Russian collusion where he said he had irrefutable evidence that the president colluded with Russia. He did not. He comes out publicly lying about a conversation that the president had with the president of the Ukraine, making up words, making up an entire conversation, and then presenting that to the American public as though it was true. It was not true. He lied about the whistleblower, saying that neither he nor his staff had any communication with the whistleblower, when in fact they did. And now he is leading this so-called impeachment inquiry where he is not even allowing any witness to come before this committee except those that he believes is going to be detrimental and harmful to the president. We are not allowed to bring our own witnesses to the table, have not been allowed to so far. It's just on and on and on. There is zero credibility in this impeachment inquiry, and for them to claim that somehow the secrecy is to protect the integrity of the hearings, the depositions, is just, it's laughable. It's so disgusting, and it's absolutely false.
Just taking a step back here to reference yesterday's testimony from William Taylor, the top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine. He's being described as supporting the assertion that a quid pro quo did exist. Based on everything that you've seen and heard, Congressman, what do you think President Trump's actions and his words in his conversation with the president of Ukraine actually indicate?
Well, it's not that difficult to come to the conclusion. We have the transcript. And again, the witnesses that the Democrats continue to bring before these various depositions and transcribed interview hearings and so forth are people who were not part of the conversation. It's secondhand information, third-hand information. And Ambassador Taylor yesterday even referenced fourth-hand information that was being brought to the table. If we want to know what the conversation consisted of between our president and the president of the Ukraine, we need look no further than the transcript of the conversation itself, where there was clearly no quid pro quo. The president simply asked for the Ukrainians to cooperate in an ongoing investigation by our Department of Justice that involved individuals in the Ukraine. And our president has every responsibility and duty to ask for cooperation when a Department of Justice investigation is underway.
All right, we're continuing to follow this situation in this impeachment inquiry on Capitol Hill and all of the fallout as a result. Congressman Jody Hice, Republican from Georgia, thank you so much for talking with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.